In the rhythm of modern life, people are increasingly surrounded by sounds, information, and endless conversations. We live in a world where noise seems to have become the norm, a place where everyone wants to speak, to express themselves, and fears being left behind in society's never-ending dialogue. Yet, amid all this noise, there is a quiet power that few recognize, the power of silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, but a state of mind, a space for inner stillness where one can rediscover oneself amidst life's chaos. Learning to be silent in modern life is not an act of escape, but an art, a skill that must be cultivated to keep the soul balanced and the mind clear. Silence may seem simple, but in an era that constantly pushes us to speak, share, and express opinions, it is incredibly difficult. Social media turns everyone into a speaker, a storyteller, a commentator. We are encouraged to voice our thoughts, to showcase ourselves, to prove our presence in the digital world. Yet the more we talk, the easier it becomes to lose the ability to listen, to lose genuine connection with others and with ourselves. In this context, silence becomes a gentle yet powerful act of resistance, a way to reclaim control from the invasion of noise. When we are silent, we begin to hear what we once missed, the wind rustling through the trees, the beating of our own heart, the whispers of deep thoughts within our soul. Silence opens a space for observation, understanding, and a refined appreciation of life. It reminds us that words are not always necessary, that sometimes a quiet presence speaks louder than 1,000 eloquent phrases. In conversation, those who know when to remain silent often understand the most, because they are not swept away by the urge to respond immediately. They allow themselves time to reflect, to feel, and to choose their words carefully. Silence is also a way to protect our mental energy. In a world flooded with information, every word, every debate consumes energy. We easily get drawn into meaningless dialogues, endless arguments, and trivial gossip. Each time, our mind grows a little more tired, a little more tense. Learning to be silent means learning to refuse what is unnecessary, to keep the mind pure and unpolluted by meaningless noise. It is an act of conserving precious energy for what truly matters, for meaningful conversations and essential thoughts. But silence is not just about restraining speech, it is about inner stillness. Some people are outwardly silent, yet their minds remain noisy, full of arguments and chaotic thoughts. The silence we need to learn is not a false silence, but a true one, where the mind is at rest, where thoughts no longer wander aimlessly, where peace radiates from within. To achieve this, we need practice, time for stillness, and the ability to let go of worries, obsessions, and the need to control everything. When the mind becomes calm, the outside world also seems gentler. Noise no longer unsettles us, and conflicts no longer rob us of peace. Silence is also a sign of inner strength. The weak often feel the need to speak excessively to prove their worth and assert their existence. The strong, on the other hand, do not need to talk much because they understand that true value lies not in words, but in actions, presence, and depth of character. Timely silence is a mark of confidence, composure, and self-control. It shows that we are not driven by the need for instant recognition, that we have the patience to wait and the strength to avoid meaningless disputes. In relationships, silence plays a special role. Sometimes what others need is not advice or analysis, but a quiet presence and genuine listening. When we remain silent and listen, we give others a precious gift, the feeling of being understood, respected, and accepted. Conversely, when we talk too much or interrupt with unsolicited advice, we unintentionally take away their chance to express and release themselves.
In this case, silence is not indifference, but a form of love and deep care. Learning to be silent in modern life is also learning to face ourselves. Many fear silence because it forces them to confront inner emptiness, fears, wounds, and unanswered questions. External noise often serves as a shield to hide internal noise, to avoid facing the truth about ourselves. But if we are brave enough to step into silence, we will discover another world, a world of understanding, healing, and growth. Silence gives us the chance to hear the voice of our soul, to recognize what truly matters, and to find our own path among life's countless crossroads. In work, silence is an important skill. Those who know when to remain silent are often keen observers who understand the bigger picture before acting. They do not rush into decisions without sufficient information, nor do they react impulsively to momentary provocations. They know that sometimes silence is the best way to maintain control and avoid unnecessary mistakes. In meetings, the most influential person is not always the one who speaks the most. Often, it is the one who speaks less, but at the right time, with weighty words, who earns true respect. To do this, they must know how to be silent, to listen, and to wait for the right moment. Silence is also part of the art of communication. A well-timed pause in conversation can add weight to words, make the listener reflect, and deepen the message. Conversely, a conversation without pauses becomes exhausting, overwhelming the listener with words. Pauses, like rests in music, make the melody harmonious and beautiful. Life is the same. Without moments of silence, we are swept into a noisy, chaotic symphony, leaving no room for subtle feelings or deep emotions. To learn silence, we must start small. Try spending a few minutes each day sitting still, doing nothing, just breathing and feeling your presence. Try listening without rushing to respond, observing without rushing to judge. Try turning off your phone for a while, giving your mind a break from constant notifications. At first, you may feel uncomfortable, empty, as if you were missing something. But gradually you will realize that silence brings a new source of energy, a peace you cannot find in noisy conversations or endless streams of information. Silence is not the ultimate goal, but a means to live more deeply, more mindfully, and more freely. In an increasingly noisy world, silence becomes an act of courage, a conscious choice, a path to peace and wisdom. And when we learn to be silent, we realize we lose nothing. Instead, we gain everything: peace, freedom, and our true selves.